welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me as always is Trevor Scott.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Trevor.
Hello.
How are you this fine Wednesday evening?
I'm much better than last Wednesday evening.
Yes, we've some personal things happening there, actually, unfortunately.
Yes.
Let's not talk about that. Let's cheer ourselves up and hopefully our listeners with some click pitch.
How this works is we both have a random word generator in front of us.
Oh, I like the sexy voice.
On the count of the 3, 2, 1 click, we're going to click refresh. And we're going to get 2 words and we're going to mash them together. And come up with a brain baby of of a game idea.
Oh, that it went maybe a little bit far at the end, but no, I liked it. I was pretty turned on. All right, well let's jump into it. 3, 2, 1, click. Collect. It's a very gamey word.
Paralytic.
Paralytic. So like a drug that, or some sort of venom or drug that paralyzes.
Yeah.
Or just relating to paralysis. Okay. So collect paralytic. Do you play maybe like a spider with a paralyzing venom?
Ooh. Much better than where my mind was going.
And maybe there's an aspect of... And so the collecting, I was thinking, comes in by just your victims, right? Like, you paralyze these victims and you collect them in some way. Maybe you're a spider serial killer. Where you don't kill them, you just keep them paralyzed. And so you could maybe you start off with insects for food. I mean, and maybe you have to feed from them, right? Like there's some sort of resource management, survival stuff in there where you capture them and you keep them in your web, paralyzed, and you feed from them when you need to. But maybe you start trying to collect bigger and bigger things. Maybe that's where the collection comes from.
I'm thinking that this is actually like an alien spider. So you start out as a small spider that sort of can catch small insects, and you make webs, and you think that you're just a normal spider because your parents always I'm thinking that it's
sorry,
like,
I just thought. Okay, go ahead because it's just I just thought of something.
I'm picturing it like you came down a la Clark Kent in like a little pod, and you happened to get taken in by these spiders who thought that you looked similar to them.
Right. I was going to go in a similar direction where you thought you were just a regular spider, and then one day you got bitten by a man, a radioactive man, and became man spider.
I like it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that when you do actually get as you start getting bigger, you find out that you do have some sort of like camouflaging thing in that you can actually like camouflage yourself to be human as such. But
okay.
So that you can go out into the world and you've got to like lure people back into your.
I love the idea though that
web.
Your idea of being human is just that like you start growing patches of color on your like carapace that from a distance look like a human body if you sort of like put yourself upright, but you're still actually just a spider. Like it's just a giant spider. It's just you've got a big human-sized body that has sort of a generally human-shaped splotch on it.
Kind of like how the Black Widow spider has like an hourglass on its stomach. You've got like the shape of a
exactly.
human.
Yeah, you've got a shape of a human on there. So you sort of rear up, 8 legs in the air.
And then you kind of
looks like a human walking around.
then you kind of do, like I'm trying to think of the old like Red Faces sketch where people put the massive hats over their heads and use their stomachs to like
use their stomachs to talk
stuff.
Yeah, that's right. You put a hat on to hide your like 8 eyes and giant fangs.
Yeah, so I'm picturing that like some of the later things that you can actually later powers that you can actually get are like you can basically take over some people's minds, so you can send them out to try and get them to entice
lure others in or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like the idea almost of spider as vampire, like the sort of vampire lore around, but it's all through it's all via your venom sort of thing.
Yeah,
so you're a creature of the night. You probably hide from the sun; it might not kill you.
You just don't like garlic.
Yeah, it's just not very. You prefer the blood of creatures. But let's go back a bit because I like the idea of starting off as just a regular spider.
Yep.
And so obviously you can spin webs. And so I think at the beginning, you're just spinning webs to catch creatures and you paralyze them, or you can go out hunting. And and maybe it is that you're this alien or super spider in some ways. But what that actually means is that you can learn and change a lot more than other spiders.
Yep.
And so that's your skill tree, right? So you can upgrade your jumping and, your legs get stronger or bigger or whatever. You can upgrade, different aspects of what your venom can do. And maybe that's where you get them, you could put it more towards just paralyzing or killing or
enthralling.
You've got the mind control stuff. Yeah, like enthralling. I don't know what other effects could you have from the venom that would be useful?
Radioactivity.
Sure. You just bite them and then send them off and people drop dead around them. Or the hair starts falling out.
You can turn someone into Spider-Man.
Oh, your own radioactivity. Right. I thought you meant that the venom makes the person or the victim radioactive.
No, I was going on your riff about Spider-Man before.
Yeah.
Man Spider.
I gotcha. I'm pretty sure Man Spider has actually been in Marvel Comics as like an alternate version of Spider-Man.
Probably.
Yeah, but of course, as you also like upgrade these skills, each time you level up, you grow a bit bigger as well, and you can catch bigger and bigger things. And I'm almost picturing it like a Katamari Damacy sort of thing where, and maybe not to the point of planets,
no,
or buildings or whatever. But, well, maybe buildings. Maybe by the end, you're like climbing up the sides of buildings.
Oh, and making massive webs in between the buildings, trying to
in between skyscrapers, catching fucking helicopters and things. Yeah, totally.
That'd be awesome. Starting off, in a barn and having to make like a little web up in the corner, and then you just gradually build it out from there until finally
writing words in your little web to impress pigs. Yeah, you get it.
No, spell it out for me.
Some pig. All right, exactly, and then building it up, and eventually you're killing mice, and then you're killing squirrels, and then you're killing cats, and then you're killing fucking cows, and you collect them the whole time because you're doing bigger and bigger webs between houses and giant trees, and yeah, I like it.
So do I.
Let's click again.
3, 2, 1, click. ASMR.
Is that your word?
No.
What is your word?
Mushroom.
I got beeswax. All right. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
We did that a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, we did do that, didn't we?
Hmm?
What's another? What about something else that's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and you get to be small? No, I don't know. I guess I'm thinking like set sort of in a garden, like as a creature. And I mean, we just did a spider, but
yeah.
I mean, obviously a bee makes some sort of sense, but
yeah, but I don't know what they've got to do with mushrooms.
Right.
Okay.
Well, just there are mushrooms around. Okay.
What lives in mushrooms?
Spores.
The Smurfs.
Oh.
So it's a game based on the Smurfs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that either they live in mushroom houses or they're tiny enough to be under the mushroom sort of thing.
Or they're on mushrooms.
Or they're on mushrooms. Or Gargamel is actually on mushrooms, and that's why
Gargamel is actually, that's the big twist at the end, is you find out that Gargamel was just on drugs and imagining little blue people running around and fucking with him the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out he just painted his hand blue and put a blonde wig on it and was just fucking his hand. And he's like, I created Smurfette.
Okay. Now I really wanting the character to play Gargamel. And
you want the player to play Gargamel.
Yeah. And so I think the initial story can actually be.
I feel like maybe if we're going to mess with it too much, maybe this should be like a kind of rip-off of the Smurfs. Like it takes a lot from the Smurfs, but we change a few things.
Okay, so Gangrene Mill?
Yeah, we're just calling Gangrene.
Yep.
And they're not blue. They're yellow?
Nah, fuck it. I can't be bothered dealing with all this.
Fine.
It's Smurfs.
They're just the Smurfs.
And
we'll
Gargamel.
deal with any lawsuits later.
I'm sure that our 30 listeners aren't going to give a shit.
Better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yep. Okay. So my thought is, like, this is showing the reason why Gargamel hates the Smurfs. So he's gone out and he's cultivated from his garden, like, the most amazing beeswax. But it turns out that the Smurfs have stolen all these beeswax because it's like, I don't know, is it like the hottest drug in Smurf Village? Beeswax, it gets them high. And
okay, let's step back a bit though, because first, I kind of like the idea of you not knowing from the beginning that it's a Smurfs game.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know the name of your character. You're just this kind of oldish guy living in an old shack.
Oh, and it's first person, so you don't actually get to see what you look like.
I was picturing third person, but I was picturing just that, like, that it's more realistic styled. So you don't necessarily know, like, it's not that sort of real caricature with the big nose and stuff and the voice that Gargamel is. It's just like an old guy, and he's just living with his cat.
Mm-hmm.
And the things you've got to do at the start are like, you just check out your house and you've got your garden and you get a few tasks to, like, harvest your beeswax.
Kind of like Heavy Rain.
Hives or whatever.
Kind of like Heavy Rain. You go around.
Yeah, maybe. Or I'm even thinking a bit of like a 3D Stardew Valley kind of thing where you get to, like, check on your beehives and go into town and buy some more. But then you start noticing things going missing, and occasionally you, like, see these little dashes of blue around. Like, it's like,
make
a little blue thing.
Not
necessarily even a thriller, but just, I guess a bit of a mystery until, like, your stuff's going missing, and eventually, like, and you think you've just got pests, and eventually you catch one. Like, you put out fucking rat traps or something,
and it's got sharp teeth, and it's fucking rabid as anything.
Yeah, I love that idea. Yeah, they're not actually these friendly little things. They actually are just pests, and they don't even talk. They try to bite and they try to kick and they just steal your shit.
So, I mean, we as kids, loved the Smurfs because they were happy-go-lucky and all this sort of stuff. But I'm imagining from Gargamel's perspective that they must look somewhat different, because otherwise he'd love them too. So,
totally. So it's just it's from his point of view of this whole relationship with the Smurfs as these horrible, dangerous pests
who keep stealing stuff from his place,
messing with his cat, stealing stuff from his place. And so, like, he does create out of Play-Doh a little blue woman Smurf because he's trying to lure them into his traps or something, and they just steal that too and take it back to their fucking little village. They're all just humping it like animals, like the animals that they are.
Yep. And so the whole thing turns into, like, coming up with different plans to try and eradicate.
You're trying to build a better Smurf trap every time, and all the while, like, you've got this sort of Stardew Valley-esque stuff going on where you have to tend to your crops and your bees, and go into town, and they can have relationships with people and stuff. And maybe you team up with some of them because they're like, those fucking Smurfs coming into my garden too. They're teaming up with that. You go into town, and you're like, fuck, I need a drink, and so you go into the bar and you sit down next to another farmer, and you start lamenting about these fucking Smurfs.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes, like, I've got the same things, but with fucking rabbits. And they're just there all the time, and they're stealing my carrots and my radishes. And, I caught one of them in a flower pot, but he got away, but I got his shirt. And then Gargamel's, like, I feel you, buddy. All right, I'll see you later, Farmer McGregor. And he goes back to his house. Maybe you share some tips on, like, eradicating pests.
You've recently seen Peter Rabbit, haven't you?
Yeah, I did. I watched it with the kids.
I'm like, oh shit, he's going down to Peter Rabbit.
But I like the idea that, like, who else could be at this bar? It's just, like, usually a villain in like, kids' shows or whatever. There's, like, the fucking, the farmer from the Fraggle Rock.
Mm-hmm. Well, the old guy that owns the shop.
Or the old guy, whatever it was, the shop, yeah. Yeah, totally. Like, they're all at the bar. You just get their point of view of, like, we're just trying to run an honest business here.
And now I'm picturing that you got a Fraggle in there and he hates all the dudeses.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, one of the Fraggles has made friends with the old guy because they've bonded over their hate of pests.
God. I kind of really want to play this now and see how demented we can make these Smurfs, like, just rabid. And
I'd love to see some artist renditions of rabid, feral Smurfs,
with a rather, saintly sort of Gargamel and his cat, they're...
Yeah, he's just a nice old guy. Like, he's got a little store where he sells his beeswax candles or whatever.
And he's got this lovely little granddaughter.
His
and
wife,
he's
his wife died, like, yeah.
He's always going down to the hospital, helping out all these all these people in the burns unit and sing songs and all this sort of stuff. And the Smurfs just come and fuck shit up.
That's it. So you have to create these I like the idea that you've got all your crops and stuff, but in between them are all these Rube Goldberg-esque traps that or just the failed traps where you're trying to string them up to use as bait and then catch the rest of them in a spike pit, poison them. Yeah.
There's going to be some sort of crescendo at the end.
Maybe there's just like a last stand, and it turns into just like a shooter. You've just got thousands of Smurfs swarming your house and your farm, and
you go out.
You've got to set up your traps and yeah, exactly. Well, there's a bit of like Sunset Overdrive. Did you ever play that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like how you'd have the moments where you had to like set up your traps and stuff ahead of time, and then you just get swarmed. So maybe you just have like rounds of that at the end. It's just You've got to the point, you've unlocked all your different trap types and stuff, and now it's just all right. They're just going to keep swarming. You got to get through the night.
So the very final scene is after you've won, and the cat and Gargamel are just sort of
yeah. Just surrounded by corpses of Smurfs.
It zooms out, and you see Papa Smurf leaving with like the Smurfette. Just
okay. I thought you were going to say it zooms out, and it's just like they're the only place in the whole town that's not covered in Smurfs now, and so that it's just a brief respite, and they've actually taken over and bred to the point of infesting the entire planet.
Or you see Papa Smurf talking to Peter Rabbit, and it's like. They both walk off together.
They walk off together to make like fucking Smurf rabbit hybrids in their lab.
God damn it. Blue rabbits.
Yep.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Ballerina.
Stripe
ballerina.
Yep.
Okay, I'm picturing this almost as a puzzle game where... Because ballet is very precise.
Mm-hmm.
So some sort of game where you have to like dance along like stripes on the ground sort of thing. Like there's some sort of puzzle or sort of dexterity test around staying on the line or keeping them all on the line or something.
Okay, yep.
That's all I've got.
That's all you got. Okay.
Yeah.
I heard... Well, I saw the word stripe and I immediately thought Gremlins.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably a better direction. Let's do that.
I know this is like the third thing in a row in which we're doing some sort of creature. But again, I think this could be one of those things that you play like one of the Gremlins and you're just going around trying to fuck shit up.
Okay. Well, okay. This is interesting. This is interesting because you don't start as a Gremlin. You start as a Mogwai.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Mogwai don't actually want to become Gremlins.
Some of them
usually.
Do.
Well, that's true. There were evil Mogwai in Gremlins 2.
And Gremlins 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, Stripe was a Mogwai first.
Yeah.
And
right. I've forgotten which movie, like what happened in what movie.
Yeah. First one was at Christmas and the second one was in the building.
I guess it was mostly only Gizmo that didn't seem to want to become a Gremlin. Anyway, I feel like I like the idea that you don't actually... Like, that we give the player some reason to not want to become a Gremlin initially. But if they fuck up, and they do, because
maybe it's that you're trying to break the rules. So you're trying to get wet. You're trying to, be fed up.
Well, I kind of like the idea that initially you're not for whatever reason. Like, that if you're playing the Mogwai, like, sort of the first phase of the game is you trying to stay a Mogwai as long as possible. But you're inevitably going to screw that up.
Yep.
And at which point, then obviously you become the Gremlin. And then you start on the Gremlin phase of the game, where you're now doing evil shit. So yeah, I don't know what that beginning... Like, I guess it depends what sort of game it is too. Like, what gameplay we're thinking. And if there's any sort of narrative, or is it just... you could do I wonder if you could do like a roguelike Gremlins game where every time you do start off as the Mogwai, like where you have that multi-phase kind of thing.
Oh yeah, yep.
And so you're unlocking things that help you in each phase, different each time you go through. But like, yeah, the beginning is, and it could just be again, I'm trying to think of what the general gameplay is. Because what can a fucking Mogwai do anyway?
Okay, so I'm picturing that this starts off. It's in the desert.
Okay.
The reason why I'm saying desert is because then there's little amounts of water around. And it also means that during the night, during the night you can be out and about doing all the stuff that you need to, but during the day, you have to be hunkered down somewhere.
So let's just rehash the rules for people who might not have seen Gremlins, or for me who can't fully remember them. So if they get wet, they multiply, right?
Yes. So do not get them wet.
If you feed them after midnight, they become Gremlins.
Yes. So do not feed them after midnight. And also,
isn't there a third rule?
Huh?
Isn't there? Then there's a third rule, right?
Yeah. The third rule is actually never ever feed them after midnight.
Right.
So the second rule, I'm pretty sure, is don't expose them to bright light.
Yes.
So
because that turns them into stone, doesn't it?
Yeah, it burns them basically.
Yeah. Oh, it was only that gargoyle one that turned into stone.
Yeah, but turns them into sludge basically. That's how they beat them in Gremlins 2.
Yeah.
They melt them all by shining light on them, and then they spray a crap load of water and get the electricity gremlin out and just totally fuck them all up.
That's right.
Yes, I've seen both Gremlins movies probably too many times. But I'm thinking that this could actually be a prequel to the whole thing. So
okay, so this is like this is like origin story.
Origin story. They've just sort of been dropped in the Wild West.
Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting.
So
it's different. Taking it to a different time period. I like that.
Different time period. Sort of. I'm thinking almost. If you remember the old TV series Kung Fu.
I never watched it.
Basically, you had David Carradine going around, sort of all alone. I'm picturing that the old guy from the old Chinese guy, he's sort of travelled from China, brought his mogwai with him, and the Gizmo happened to get wet. And
wait, so is this still Gizmo? Because I thought, didn't you just say that he dropped in the Old West?
Yeah, I'm thinking that this guy has been living for years and years and years and years.
He's supernatural
mystical,
in some way.
Supernatural.
Okay. And then it gets to like 1984 or whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm going to sell you now, Gizmo. Yeah. We've spent hundreds of years together, but
don't forget, he didn't want to sell him. His grandson did. His grandson sold Gizmo.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Yeah, you're trying to fool me. It's like, you can't fool me.
Fool me once, can't fool me again.
Yeah, that's how it all goes. So I'm picturing that, yeah, Gizmo's only in it at the very start, accidentally gets wet, and one Mowgli.
One offspring. Mogwai offspring.
Yeah, Mowgli.
One Mowgli. It was a pretty Mowgli Mogwai.
Pug Fugly.
What a pug Mowgli Mogwai with his that mug of his, that Mowgli mug on that Mogwai.
Yeah, so you start off as one Mogwai.
And are you just like lost in the desert?
Yeah, I think you're in like a ghost town sort of thing, or something similar to that. And you sort of got to venture out and try and find food and that sort of stuff. But of course, not having time and all that sort of stuff, you don't know if you're eating after midnight. And
right, so the first thing you got to find is a pocket watch, and then you realize you don't have a pocket, so you just have to keep that little den that you've created, and bring your food back there, and make sure you don't eat after midnight. And I guess there's going to be some experimentation around. You can't eat after midnight. When can you eat? Like, what's the earliest you can eat?
If you're looking at a watch and it's in, Australian Eastern Standard Time,
yeah,
and it says that it's after midnight, does that count?
Well, presumably maybe it's got something to do with they're reactive to the sun, so perhaps like the UV radiation
is at its lowest.
Then, so for whatever reason, without that UV radiation to kind of fight back the gremlin DNA. Then, so it's not actually, it's not strictly midnight. It's just don't eat. Yeah.
That actually answers the rule better than they actually answered it themselves.
Yeah.
So it's actually like this only tiny little period in which it's just after midnight that if you feed them in, there's just not enough UV radiation and they turn into gremlins. But if they eat like 15 minutes later than that, then the UV radiation started coming back up again from the sun making it round.
From the sun coming up, exactly, yeah.
Because technically, if it says don't feed them after midnight, it's like, when can you feed them again?
Yeah, look, it's just a rule of thumb. Best to wait until the sun's up.
But in reality, if you wait an hour, it's fine.
Well, I think it's probably that period of, by midnight the sun's been down for a few hours. The UV radiation that's sort of bouncing around the atmosphere is mostly died off, and it's not until the sun starts coming up. And you don't have to wait until dawn because it starts the UV radiation bouncing around again before you sort of see the actual sunlight. But, so don't feed them between like midnight and 3:30-ish. It's really just a rule of thumb.
So you play as a Mogwai, and I like the idea that, yes, it is a
like a roguelike.
A roguelike, in that you go out and if you die, you get melted by the sun.
So it's permadeath and, yeah. So it's very much, there's a lot of survival aspect to it.
Yeah, that Mogwai's dead and you can start again as a new Mogwai that may have been dropped somewhere
So I like
else.
the idea then that, because you do have those two phases then, right? And so in that first phase, it's kind of a resource collection phase and a bit of stealth, like you don't want to be seen and caught. You obviously have to avoid the sun. You have to time your eating and not die from starvation. So like it might come to a point where like you try to gather as many resources as you can before it's just inevitable at some point that you'll become a gremlin. And so maybe it's because, oh shit, I didn't find enough food during the day, which is hard because the fucking sun is out, to get me through the night. And so it's 2:45 and I'm about to starve to death. Well, fuck, it's better to become a gremlin than to die.
Yeah, because at least then you know that, okay, we're going to be able to last in the cocoon for another, like, 2 days or so.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe you have to have put up defenses, or, like, you have to make sure that when you eat after midnight, you're in a safe place so that nobody finds the cocoon.
You do it in the middle of the bar and the bartender comes in the next morning and just stamps on it and is like, you died.
Yeah, totally. Look, and I'm almost picturing this now as I'm sort of picturing an isometric, fairly high up view now, where you're kind of seeing, a little Mogwai that's maybe only 20 pixels high, sort of running around in this town. Not necessarily a sort of pixel art as such, but I'm kind of picturing almost like a Commandos view. Do you know what I mean? Like or like that Silent Storm game or something.
And maybe your thing is, okay, go out and try and build up your army by getting the 5 drops of water on you, and now you got 5 more. Yeah,
well, that's it. You could kind of recruit. Like maybe one of the skill trees, one of the things you can unlock then is the ability to control your offspring. Like maybe initially, if you get wet, you're fucked because they're just going to turn on you.
Yep.
And they might go and turn into gremlins. Like I like the idea that initially, yeah, like you get wet, it's like, oh shit, I got wet. Pop, 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 pop. They all run off. They might come back a day later or 2 days later, and they might be gremlins. They might still be Mogwai. Like, you don't know. They're just going to show up later in this run.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just another thing then that you got to protect against. And so, yeah, you're this lone Mogwai out in the Wild West. People shoot on sight because you're a fucking weird. Like, they just think you're a rodent initially when you're a Mogwai. It's like, goddamn rabbits.
Okay, so get this. Every time that you get shot, it then travels to where Gizmo currently is.
Okay.
And he gets a single drop of water on his back again, and a new one starts in that new location.
Okay, so it might not necessarily be the Wild West. Or it's always it's just a different town.
It's just a different town.
Okay.
So that talks about like the different sort of layouts that you can have for the roguelike.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that idea. It's like, shit, this Mogwai died. All right, and it's just like you get a cutscene of the old Chinese guy, and he's in his cart, and he's like just traveling along, and he's
a bead of sweat drops off.
No, I'm thinking he's got a drink, and instead of putting it down like on his drink holder, he accidentally puts it on Gizmo's head, and Gizmo's like, and like that drop comes off, and it's like pop, and just like flies out onto the ground. The fucking the cart drives off, and the next round starts, and this town nearby.
So what I'm also imagining, just to have some fun with it, is that say there is actually like an end state. You actually find out how many infestations of gremlins and stuff that you've sort of left all over the United States.
Oh, totally. I mean, I think even if you can just get those stats at any time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it measures, like if in this particular run, you
didn't have any offspring, then you've left nothing there, but you died.
Yeah, you've left nothing there, but maybe there's still a little thing around, or maybe in one town there was a scientist or something who found you and dissected you and discovered something about your physiology. But yeah, if you have too many offspring,
unlocked.
Yeah, totally. It's like if you make your way back to that town, you can unlock it. You can unlock a whole. There's a fourth rule that if you tickle them in the belly at the same time as kissing them on the forehead, then they grow cybernetic arms and limbs and have fucking like lasers and shit. But like they didn't have enough paper to write that down, so they needed to rediscover it.
There's a fifth rule: if a gremlin fucks a Mogwai, it's the end of civilization as we know it.
Oh God.
And 3 to 1 click.
Yeah. How did we get that from ballerina? We didn't use ballerina.
Stripe.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about the ballerina.
It doesn't matter. It's fine. That was worth it. Oh, jeez. Bullfight.
Sinner.
Ooh. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So you play an ex-bullfighter
Okay.
who died and went to hell.
Okay. You're liking where this is going.
Yeah. So basically, at the gates of hell, he gets told, okay, because you killed this many bulls, you've actually, you've been sent down to hell because in Indian culture, which happens to be the right culture,
Right.
like cows are sacred.
Like Hinduism happened to be the actual real thing. Okay.
They got it most right. So they're
Right.
like 75% right. There's still like a heaven and hell, but there's also like they got it most right in that.
But cows are sacred, and
cows are sacred,
and God is an elephant.
Yeah, so you get sent back to Earth.
I hope I'm getting that right. About I'm not mixing up fucking religions or something.
I think they got a number of gods. But
Yeah,
that's okay.
That's probably true, yes.
Either way, they were right in that cows are sacred. No one else has got it actually 100% right. But they were at least the closest. So you get returned to Earth as a bull.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And now you've got to make amends.
Okay, I thought this was going to end in you having to bullfight Satan because he's got the horns.
No.
And that was going to be your final move. It was going to be this big thing where it's like you taunt him enough and then you move to the side and you're like, I wasn't there after all. It was just a red sheet. Fuck you, Satan, I win. All right, but there's not much gameplay there.
No.
Okay, so you are a bull.
Yes.
And you have been returned to Earth. You've been reincarnated as a bull.
But you've been reincarnated as a bull who actually knows about all this stuff. So you've actually retained some memory, but you've been returned to Spain, where there's still bullfights and running of the bulls and stuff going on.
Yes.
So you can have the running of the bulls. You can have a bullfight in which you can maybe kill the bullfighter, and the idea being that you can also have like a bull in a china shop sort of moment, and
of course,
and just sort of he's trying to make amends to his family, kind of like I'm trying to think of the movie.
Like
A Heaven Can Wait or something like that.
Or Heart and Soul.
Heart and Soul, yeah.
Yeah.
Those sort of things where you're trying to make amends to your family, but you come back as a bull.
Right. So does it have that 80s comedy drama vibe about it?
I think so.
The cheesy heaven or hell scene.
You see Paul trying to play Heart and Soul. Fuck. Fucking whoops.
You put in all these references to similar films. Yeah, okay. So are you thinking, I guess, probably third person? What's the gameplay like? Is it little vignettes where it's now you're doing a bullfight and now you've got a conversation tree with someone and now you've got a China, you found your way into a China shop.
So I'm actually thinking it's like a point-and-click adventure with arcade sequences.
Okay, because that always works really well.
Yeah.
No, but yes. Yeah. I know. I'm just ragging on adventure games with bad arcade sequences. Go to our YouTube channel. Point, click, repeat. Yeah. Okay. And so, point, click, adventure. So you're just walking around this Spanish town as a bull, or are you stuck in your pen and you're sort of?
I think what you find out is that all sinners come back as different animals.
Okay. This would be an interesting way to actually. And as usual, we shouldn't be the ones to write this, but you could explore Hinduism in a very interesting way, and other religions. But Hinduism has elements of reincarnation, and obviously the bull, the cow connection, and that could just be interesting. Look, I'm not going to go any further in that because I don't know enough about it, but I'm just saying that could be an interesting sort of take on it.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah, okay, So is it that you're going around and you have to try to talk to every other animal to find out if they're a reincarnated human or not, or if they're just an animal?
I think,
or is it just literally every animal has been reincarnated from a human by now?
Yeah, I think there's a good number, but a lot of them don't actually know. So there's only rare ones that actually know that.
Is that why it was a sin to kill all these bulls then? Not only because they're sacred, but actually technically they were human souls.
Probably.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. And so what's your your end goal is you're saying you're trying to make amends with your family?
With your family, yeah.
Are you trying to also like stop bullfighting or something? Do we have some sort of moral around the FV?
That may actually be one of your main things that you need to do, and your side quest is sort of like your
family sort of. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you're trying to somehow, as a bull, stop bullfighting. Do you find a way to communicate with humans? Since you're one of the few animals who remembers being a human, you like start using your horns to scratch numbers or letters into your barn wall or something, and now we're back to Charlotte's Web.
Yep, some pig.
Yeah, some bull. Yeah, I guess the story could go in a lot of different directions.
That I don't think we've got the time to.
No, I don't think we'll explore that any further. But yeah, no, that's an interesting idea. I like that. That's cool.
Let's keep going. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, click. All right, you go first.
Banquet.
Throb.
Oh god, there's so many places that you could take Throb.
This is an ultra gory 4-person fighting game, sort of Power Stone-ish, set in realistic locations using the sort of the Burnout devs made that golf game. I never played it, but where you're like golfing inside and everything's breakable and stuff.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, like using that sort of technology, and the one of the levels is you're in a banquet hall and there's food everywhere, and so by the end of the fight, there's just like food everywhere. And throbbing comes from the fact that you can tear people's hearts out.
And have a banquet with them.
Well, you can eat it if you like. That's just extra gore. But yeah, like I kind of like the idea of a totally, I guess like, you'd be taking inspiration from Mortal Kombat in a sense there with the goriness, but you could go a bit over the top silly, but more of that Power Stone vibe of you've got a sort of a top-down view that you're moving around in a largish room, realistic style, and able to pick up weapons and throw them at each other and do special moves. And
I also like the fact that you could have certain levels that are set in like a banquet hall in which there's a massive sort of layout of food, and you can like pick up food and throw it at other people as well. So you can sort of somewhat food fighty that you then start picking up cutlery and throwing it at people, and then you do the whole Kalimar, rip their heart out.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe every level
throw it at someone else.
Actually just starts as an innocent food fight, but all of these people have real anger and violence issues. And
start smashing chairs over each other.
Yeah, by the end,
ripping their head off as their bloodlust meter goes up.
Maybe there's that's it. Maybe there's an actual mechanic of your bloodlust meter. So when you start, you can only pick up food, and you're getting, you're sort of getting scored points. But every time you get hit, your bloodlust meter goes up a bit.
Oh, and it's only when you're getting hit. So if you're hitting people, then you're not getting angry.
No, but that's right. But if they're getting angry, then once they hit a certain point in that meter, now they can start picking up things that are going to hurt more. So now it's plates and cutlery. They're not going to kill you with them probably, but it's going to hurt a bit more.
It's going to hurt and get you higher up in your anger meter.
Exactly, yeah. And so you end up with this almost exponential growth of the anger until you are at the point where you're grabbing things that are lethal, like the chef's knife and, the fucking, I don't know, with gun, I guess.
Yeah, I'm thinking that you can like get to the point where if your bloodlust meter sort of hits the top, you can cause some sort of fatality sort of thing.
Yeah, now you can do a fatality basically and
rip
take
someone's
one person
head
out
right off. And
yeah, but maybe when you do that, like you take someone out of the game completely, but your bloodlust meter drops, not necessarily to 0, but it drops. And so now you're actually at a disadvantage. You've got less people that you're fighting against, and obviously you got a ton of points or whatever for that. But they're fucking throwing knives and whatever at you, and you're, throwing mashed potatoes. I mean, and so strategically, that we probably need a way to bring people's bloodlust meter down. So I wonder how you do that. Is it just if they don't get hits enough? Oh no, well I guess it's if they don't get hit enough. Does it drop? That'd be interesting.
Well, maybe you can play some calming music
You could fire off like if you throw something at the record player, then it does some music, and anyone in range like loses some off their bloodlust. Well, no, but I was just thinking that if the bloodlust is slowly draining, you could just not shoot at them, and as long as you don't get hit, they're going to get to the point where they can no longer throw things that are lethal, right?
Okay.
So there's almost a back and forth there of sometimes you want to get hit to keep your bloodlust meter high so that you can take the other person out. I guess the issue is you could get to a bit of a stalemate. So, but you could probably put like sort of hazards in the level and stuff that randomly like boost someone's bloodlust meter up by 30% or something.
Bear trap. Shit! You take a little bit of time pulling that. Now you're really angry,
but now you're really angry, and so you can actually take that bear trap and like reopen it and put it on someone's head if they're close enough.
I think this would be one of those games that if you got the mechanics of the bloodlust right, it could be like an awesome, fun co-op game. But if you fucked it up, like and you got it so it was just slightly imbalanced, like it just wouldn't be fun. So your main thing would be all about getting that bloodlust meter like 100%.
Yeah. It definitely would need to be well balanced. But yeah, I could picture this being a really fun couch competitive game.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
I like the idea that to replenish the weapons on the table, what you actually have is like a butler and like a maid sort of come through and like reset the table.
Well, I'm picturing you can have different levels. Like, yes, the banquet hall's one, but you've also got the school cafeteria, and you've got like an outside barbecue, like anywhere that there's food where a food fight could potentially break out. You've got the DLC level from Hook, where they have the food fight on fucking in Never Never Land.
You've got a prison cafeteria, and therefore you've got traveling guards
and guards with guns, and
you got the Hogwarts area with all the different.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you can have you get Hogwarts level, and you've got like
one
once you get your bloodlust up, you can use the fucking forbidden curses or whatever, the killing curses. You have to get your bloodlust to 100% to Adava Kedavra anyone or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. There's a lot of different places you could take that.
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Ooh. Ghoul.
Possessor.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that's sort of takes itself into a supernatural place pretty quickly. But to do something a bit different, maybe you're a ghoul who is buying a house. Maybe this is a very... Did you ever play that game? It was a Sierra game called Jones in the Fast Lane.
I thought you were going to say that. No, but I remember seeing like bits and pieces of it. But please tell me what it's all about.
So, it's been so long since I've played it, but it was almost a board game in a sense. Like you played against other people, and you had your character, and you had different places around the board, like around this square area that you could work at, and you could buy things. Like it was basically a capitalism simulator.
Oh yeah.
As you got more money, you could buy things, and I think that would like bring your happiness up or your score up or something. I don't know. I might have to look it up and see what it was about. But anyway, the basic gist of it was get a job, like go up the sort of corporate ladder or get better jobs and make more money, get a better place. You know, like I said, capitalism simulator. But that sort of thing could be interesting in a supernatural space as a ghoul. So you've got your cave that you live in at the beginning. It's pretty dank and dark and wet.
Is that dank in a good sense? Like, man, this is
like,
dank. Like
dank nugs. It does. You do grow some pretty awesome
chicken nuggets.
Marijuana down there. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. And so you decide to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go out there and get a job in the real world. So you're a ghoul navigating the human world. What the fuck is a ghoul anyway? Like, is there a strict definition? Because, I mean, I know the ones from Fallout, and I know just a sort of general, like, ghosty kind of
I think they're sort of like a supernatural being that is somewhat undead. But...
All right. Demon or monster in Arabian mythology, associated with graveyards and consuming human flesh. All right, well, that gives us something to go off.
Yeah, it's enough. They're not quite zombies, but they're
yeah. So
he decided that he didn't like his digs in hell, so he's moved up to this dank cave, and
that's it. And just wants to take part in the great capitalist experiment that is the United States. Probably.
But also needs to eat human flesh.
But he needs to eat human flesh. But he likes humans. And look, he got a job he got a temp job in an office.
Mm-hmm.
And he really doesn't want to eat Timothy, the other temp. But he's the one that no one's going to notice if he's gone. So you've got a dilemma there, right?
Timothy's his only friend, but also Timothy smells so nice.
Yeah, but every time he looks at him, he sees a giant turkey leg.
No, it sees just a giant human leg as basically.
It's a giant human leg. So it's still that cartoon trope, but instead of a turkey leg, it's a human leg, even though it's a fucking human that you're looking at.
Yep.
I love it.
I'm now picturing like this scene where Timothy's like oiling up his leg.
Yeah, he's a runner. He runs into work. He's got those stupid toe shoes. He strips them off and he oils up his legs, and our ghoul character just like
Greg the
mouth watering. Yeah, Greg or Ginny.
Well,
if you choose to play a woman.
I was actually saying Greg because I wanted it to eventually go to, and then he meets this girl called Dharma.
That would add some interesting backstory to that canon, to the canon of Dharma and Greg, the sitcom from the 2000s, 90s, 90s. Yes, must be
90s to 2000s, I think.
Yeah,
around the same time as Friends. So I'm kind of liking the idea that yes, he's going through this capitalist thing, but then like I think what could happen in a bit of a twist is you actually find out like your boss, who's sort of giving you this chance to actually join the company, is actually possessed. Bringing back possessor in like the supernatural terms.
Sure.
But it turns out that they're trying to sort of collect as many supernatural beings under their company as possible to I don't know, do some nefarious scheme.
Is there a bit of a Hotel Transylvania vibe going on?
Could be. I do like the idea of you working your way up through this company, killing either
random temps when you can,
your co-workers or even the boss above.
Right, that's how you. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Like that can be part of the strategy. If you manage, like it's harder, but if you manage to kill the boss above you, then if you've also been performing well enough in your job duties, there's a clear line,
of succession
for a promotion. Yeah,
and that as you get to about middle management, that's when you find out that your boss is actually possessed and is actually, wanting all the middle management above you is
all
also
the middle
undead.
management are undead of some sort. Yeah, okay. That's why Jenny worked. Oh no, I'd used Ginny before. I can't use Jenny. That's why Vanessa works such late hours. Is because she's actually a vampire. You never see her during the day.
And that's why Frank has bolts coming out of his neck.
Bit on the nose. Bit on the nose with Frank. Come on. Yeah. Frank Stein. Frank N. Stein.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, click. Lamentation.
Longshoreman.
Okay, so whenever I hear the word lamentation, I think of that classic Conan quote with the lamentation of the women and all this sort of stuff. So I'm picturing like.
Oh, I thought you meant Conan O'Brien.
No.
I love the idea of Conan O'Brien's like famous quote being to just whatever it is, to defeat my enemies, see them driven before me, and hear the lamentations of their women.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna dance.
So I'm picturing it's like a sailor has come into the world of like the Conan the Barbarian sort of era.
Okay.
And maybe he got lost in a storm, almost traveled back in time, sort of like
so it's like a modern day,
a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court sort of situation. In that you've got this sort of like Navy guy who's sort of come into this sort of ancient styled land, and there's no technology. There's barbarians and
war and just like I don't know much about Conan, but It's just there's no like fantasy sort of stuff in there, is there? With Conan?
Yeah. There's
is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I literally know nothing about
the actual films didn't do much of it, but if you know Eldritch Wright's song "Man Beast," that's actually from the
right.
the stories of Conan the Barbarian. Just a little plug for my band.
Yeah, I'll just cut it later. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So there's magic and shit. Okay,
yeah,
witches and things. All right. So what sort of game is this? Like, is it I don't know. Is it a combat based thing, but you're sort of going up against these like fucking barbarians and whatever, or
okay, so it could
adventure?
Actually be like an action adventure sort of thing, in which you've come ashore, much kind of similar to a game that we've done in the past. You've got a weapon that only has limited number of bullets.
Okay, which you're obviously not going to be able to find
new bullets,
ammo for here. Yep. Yeah, well, I like that. Maybe less of it because we did obviously do sort of the gameplay implications of that last time. But I do like the idea of them, of this person coming into this world, and they've got a couple of things that they have advantages, that they give them an advantage over the people here, right? One of them is their weapon, and so if they're in the Navy or something, like maybe they've got a sidearm or
a sidearm.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like the Ash Williams quote of "This is my boomstick."
God. Yeah, but he's also got like his iPhone, which again you've got a certain amount of batteries for, so you do have to like sort of do some resource management, and maybe it's not actually like in the game mechanics. Like if it's more of an adventure, it's just that at certain points, the event based, you'd run out of batteries or whatever. Yeah. But that's in as part of the narrative, driving the narrative. These things give you advantages, but they are inherently limited in this time.
Yeah, so that's almost like the fact that you've got a bigger rechargeable battery, sort of like a 30,000 milliamp hour rechargeable battery compared to a smaller one. That's just your difficulty level.
Well, I think it just ties into the story. I think it's probably a narrative thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that idea in general. I don't know, what's the sort of arc? What's the narrative arc? You get there, you meet the locals, you like manage to sort of claim your place as, I don't know, a wizard. It's like, here's my wand, which kills instantly from a distance. And
if I remember from like the Conan the Barbarian like film, there was actually I think Yaphet Kotto played like it was either Yaphet Kotto or it was James Earl Jones played the evil king who'd sort of like enslaved all these people. So I sort of think that maybe one of the things that actually happens is that your character accidentally kills Conan. So you have to sort of take on
take the place of that, take the role of Conan.
Yep.
But you're actually you're fit. You're in the Navy. You're a military person. But
yeah, you may be a Marine Conan, or something like that. You could have some real fun.
You're
with
capable
that.
and yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I'm trying to think sort of what like game I would compare it to with what I would picture that as. Like, do we go full kind of adventure game? Is there, because you kind of can't put just regular combat in there if the whole point is that there are narrative beats of where you run out of ammo.
I almost like the idea that it's a Tomb Raider-esque
okay.
sort of adventure, in that you're sort of having to travel through towns and or even like an Assassin's Creed or something like that.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Little missions that you can actually do.
Yeah, so there is combat and stuff, but you don't actually get to use your gun in the combat. You have to use and learn the local weapons
until you get up to like certain
until there are missions where it's like, all right, this is somewhere where I'm gonna show off my magic and help this person by taking out someone at a distance and saving the town or whatever.
It could even be that sort of Prince of Persia, Sands of Time sort of thing, in which if you use too many bullets in this particular thing, then it sort of backs up.
Actually, well, that could be interesting, even if it's not fully like rewinding into the sort of story and mechanics of the game. Instead of it's just like, oh, these are the specific spots you can use bullets. maybe it's more, okay, every mission, you've got X amount of bullets that you can use without basically breaking the timeline because you're supposed to use a bullet later on. Sort of thing. So, and then you can give like achievements for using no bullets, but you brought a bunch of ammo with you. So maybe you've got actually, 30 bullets per mission or something. And so you can just blast your way through some missions.
And if you used 30 the first time that you went through it, you can replay that mission. And
they carry over, and or you can replay that mission and try to do it in less. So there's sort of there are like almost there are tactical aspects to it.
Yeah. So the less bullets there that you actually use means that there's more available for the next mission, and there's more available for the next mission until finally your final mission you could have every single bullet.
Final boss you can just shoot 20, 30, 50 bullets into them. There's some giant fucking actual giant. They're a giant. But you can just take them down with your gun. Yeah. No, I like that. That's cool. I like that as, kind of an Assassin's Creed-y, Shadow of Mordor-ish sort of...
Yeah.
With those sorts of limitations. Yeah, that's
I'm trying
cool,
to think.
Actually.
I mean, technically, the fact that in Grand Theft Auto and all that sort of stuff, you can die in that, and then you'll restart the mission from the start, and then you can redo the mission.
Look, we don't.
And occasionally have like special side quests that you can do within a mission and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. We certainly don't have to bring like respawning and stuff into the lore of the game itself. Like that could just be the gamey part of it. Is you fail or you can just redo missions, or whatever. That's kind of neat. That's kind of cool.
I like it.
Good to see that working. Sweet.
Okay. Well, I think that's it.
I think that is it. I think we'll end it there tonight. Thank you for joining us on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online, we are on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram as BitstormCast. On all of those, we have a Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Bitstorm. We have a YouTube page. You can just search for Bitstorm on YouTube or search for Bitstorm point, click, repeat, maybe. I don't know. We don't come up with any search results. And most importantly, we are on Podchaser at podchaser.com/Bitstorm.
We're also on iTunes, where you can also rate, review, and subscribe to us there. Got a website, bitstormcast.com. I'd like to plug our friends at the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Search hashtag AGPN on Twitter, or look for the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network group on Facebook. Finally, we'd like to thank Curitas for our theme song, Mount Defiance, off of the album Containment Failure.
That's it. So, thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'm not a giant spider, I'm a man.
You're a man spider.
Look at my carapace. I'm a man. I mean, I didn't mean carapace. Look at my skin. It's man skin.